guess we just start talking shit.
That's what we're already doing.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. It's just to talk shit.
Scatology. What were we talking about before?
We're talking about Star People.
Band. Yes.
Yeah.
Punt.
This awesome T-shirt that I've got.
Star People.
Star Pupil.
Plug.
Yeah, there's a way to go.
It was actually really cool. Yesterday, Casper and Felix from Star Pupil were in the studio yesterday and the day before, just jamming, man, and just coming up with a whole bunch of new stuff too.
Yeah, we've just been tracking in here last 2 days.
Yep.
Came in. The goal was to come in and track just the drums for a couple of his tracks. So he's recording an album. It's going to be out in a couple of months. And we came in. Is
that solo? He's doing a solo record, or was it for Star Pupil?
Oh, it's 4 Star. So his Star Pupil is sort of like he is Star Pupil. He'll have me drum for him sometimes, and other players play for him sometimes. Sure. So it's sort of a bit of a thing, but yeah, Star Pupil is kind of him. Mm-hmm. Although while it is a band, it's a full band sound.
Okay.
So yeah, it's so he's recording an album, which is basically it's his solo project.
What's it called?
I don't know what the album's called yet, but like one of the songs we did yesterday was see, I don't even remember the songs.
Does he have a
well, we'll have to get Felix
October.
in here.
I think we'll need to get Felix. That might be a conversation. I think that we should get Felix in to have a conversation.
Well, we have a spare seat, so we could have.
Where is he?
Maybe
we'll give him a call.
That's right. He couldn't stay 2 nights.
He couldn't stay 2 nights. Yeah. He just got ridiculous at the end. Mm-hmm. Like we were going to run out of wine. This is serious. The really funny thing that happened,
I bet.
And Jez walked in on this, like on Monday night, was we didn't actually get any songs finished on Monday, and that was really actually completely totally fine, because what happened instead was we started this whole new side project, a 2-piece like psychedelic rock band called Steam Machine. Because we just started jamming, right? And me and Felix, like, we've never really jammed much before, like just on whatever we wanted to. Maybe at the start of like covers gigs, because we played. That's our history. Is we've just played years and years of covers gigs, corporate, wedding, you name it. And so, because of that, we have this real awesome intuition with each other. We just know each other musically. Like, second guess what each other's going to do. But we've only really done that with covers for a crowd, and they're paying us to play what they want.
What sort of crowds? It's more wedding bands and stuff.
Mostly wedding bands. Mostly weddings.
You?
Some corporate. Occasionally, we've had we had one pub gig, which is a story for another time.
Okay,
some dudes got naked, but you know.
Yeah, a couple of dudes got naked.
Yeah, a couple of dudes gotten naked.
Things happen.
That's just
at
how
weddings.
Good we are. We knew that we had a thing when that happened. You know, get guys naked.
That's it. But if you can strip a dude,
if you can make clothes come off in any manner, I think that's a real positive.
Yeah, that's right
for you.
Yeah.
So we'd been like, so we'd never really played originals. Was like the whole point. And I reckon, and nudity warrants some rainbow flashing.
Yes,
flashing. I need to be on the drum kit to like.
Yes, of course.
Rainbow
maybe
flash.
Later. And so we basically came in the studio on Monday, and Felix, like, while he'd booked time to record, he's like, he wanted to just write a song from start to finish, just with me as well, as the stuff that he'd already come in and planned to do. And so we just started jamming, because we always do this, even in sound checks at our own gigs. We just start jamming as much as we sort of can. And then we never ever, it's never quite satisfied. You know, so we have to stop, because it's like, you know, wedding guests and stuff and all this running schedule. It's very official. And so we're in the studio and there's like no one to bother us. And so we finally just let loose. We went wild for hours.
Yeah, you did. It was great.
And so we have this recording session. We just hit record and left it running for like.
Wow, nice.
And we actually we just recorded like all these ideas. It was idea after idea after idea. And now we have like 6 or 7 really solid ideas, like almost enough for a full set.
Yep.
And
awesome.
It's fucking insane. Like, and it's really just
impromptu ad lib.
And
I'll beat it.
And it just came together. It's sort of like Tame Impala a bit White Stripes, a bit Smashing Pumpkins, a bit just like you know, just stuff that you would like dance to, like if you're like tripping or something, you know. I was imagining as we were jamming, like if we were just like on a festival stage, and what would be really cool to play on a festival stage. And now I found that was like a cool kind of perspective because it kept me really kind
of like...
I
know exactly what you're talking about.
Like,
I've been in those situations in studios too, like we're working out a song where I just immediately I feel like I'm transported to this. This is where this could be.
Yeah.
Like I start to visualize the stage where I'm playing it, start to visualize the audience.
Yeah, man.
Start to visualize like the rest of the band as well while we're working on this, while we're all here together in the studio.
Because you want to get that, you want to put that energy, which you would...
Damn right.
You'd suck yourself off a bit.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything, just to do the psychology thing, is there anything that holds you back when you get onto stage?
Always.
What kind of things?
All kinds of things.
If you don't want to touch on this...
No,
it always depends on the situation and depends who you're playing with, depends where you are, what pub you're in, what the history of the music is. I mean, always, man. There's always going to be things that hold you back on stage.
What was your last awkward one?
The last awkward... I'm not even going to go into that, man.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it wasn't me. It was them. But I mean,
therapy session over.
It's not me. It's you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not you.
No, it was a band that I was on tour with, man. That was it was awkward, like pretty much the entire time. And the last gig, holy fuck, it was horrible. In terms of the awkwardness and things that are holding you back on stage.
I know why you don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
It gets political. Gets political.
Oh, that's right. It does. It does. And the politics is another thing that can hold you back at times.
Yeah, you don't want to get into the politics.
No, of course. That's a whole other awkward, awful, terrible can of worms that you never know how the audience is going to react. The people involved are going to react. The internet is going to react. You never know. So when it comes down to politics, it's just... Yeah, that's a big thing that can hold you back on stage as well, is actually the politics of whatever the hell is going on. So if I try to think back to another situation that's not as raw and fresh as what you're asking about, where politics have gotten in the way, it was a dude that we were playing with that just before we'd gone on stage, we'd all decided that was it for him. Like, this singer, we weren't going to work with him, including him. Like, he'd had the chat too. But for him, it was
went on
like,
stage with that.
Yeah, but for him, it was like he'd been fired. Like for me, with this other group, it wasn't so much like that, because from my perspective, is I didn't want to do it anymore.
You'd fired them.
I'd fired them in a sense, and they'd fired. Yeah. Is your phone on airplane mode?
That one.
Can you turn it on airplane mode? Thanks, man. Otherwise, we're going to have dings all day.
Ding.
Ding.
We can make our own dings.
But yeah, like that's another thing that's something that could totally make it awkward for everybody. Or something is that one member of the band has had way too much weed.
Alcohol.
Or alcohol, exactly. Alcohol or pot or whatever, the speed, kind of the fucking LSD, MDMA, whatever they've had, they could have had too much that they can't handle it. And that makes it hard for everybody on stage. Makes it awkward because, well... everybody's been there when they've had too much of something and then had to play and go, you know, and then you're in this headspace that it's just like, shit, I wish I hadn't done this. Yeah. And then I've had like people that I've worked with again that it's just like, they've come up to me after the show and just said, oh, I forgot. I was having such a good time that I forgot that my rule is that I only have one beer during a set break. Right? But they're having such a good time. A friend that they haven't seen for years has just turned up and, oh my God, let's have a drink. And oh my God, it must be time for me to go on stage. Oh wow, it's only been 5 minutes. I'm going to have another one, you know? And then by the end of the night, he's just wankered, right? And because... And so when you see that, like a band is like a unit. It's like a family.
Yeah,
we can see.
Totally.
We can totally see.
You're in a
It's
relationship.
a tribe. That's it. That's
tribe.
right. It's a tribe. Tribe for sure. That we can see that this might be going on for them, and we can be like shitty and go like, oh God, here we go again. I wish this hadn't happened. But at the same time, we want to prop them up. That other member of our band, we want to prop them up. And go like, it's all right, dude. We've all been there. We totally understand. This is an emotional industry. Blah 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 blah.
Deal with it together.
Yeah, we'll deal with it together. And please don't do it again, Because that
sorry.
Not you. Not you.
What you're talking about is how many times can you forgive?
That's true as well. 70 times 7.
It's like it's adopted family.
That's right. That's right.
So and if you give your brother a million times.
Yeah. It's even more than just like adopted family sometimes. It's, as you said, it's tribe. It's like you make music with these people that it literally feels like you've known them for lifetimes. Like you get on stage and you play with each other and do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
I understand the musical connection, the unspoken language.
The unspoken language.
Spiritual thing you're talking
spiritual
about.
thing. It's a spiritual thing, man. And music is a spiritual thing as well.
Shared experience.
Mm-hmm.
You share these amazing experiences together.
You can't put it
and
in
you have
a
connection
and go, there's this much of it.
No one else has experienced that together with you. Like, and only you two know that you've experienced that together. Like, we've played some festivals together. Like, we have that.
Yeah, exactly. We do.
Fucking cool, man.
And there's people that might have been at that festival, experience like this is an audience member thing, like we were talking about last week. That there could be audience members that have been there, that have witnessed what we've done at certain festivals, that don't understand it in the same way that we do. Like they've seen us doing this thing, but we're in a different headspace than they are, right? As performers, and
life is all about perspective.
That's right. It is. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really important thing.
Yeah, I think I was a bit harsh on that, though.
You reckon?
I was kind of pushing you to do
How do you mean?
bass solos. That's my criticism of myself.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I watched. I remember that part from the last week's episode.
Yeah.
And then
I didn't like that part.
Then we played our.
I didn't cut it out, but I didn't like it.
Okay, I had
cut it out.
Yeah, I had moments that I could have said, "Nah, who's that boring guy talking?"
I think
like
you were trying to run the sound as well at the same time, and he kind of ambushed you while you were trying to do.
He snuck up on me.
He caught you
you
off guard
bastard.
a bit,
He does that, man. He'll do that.
I know that feeling though, because like as a drummer, I have the same kind of thing. I actually don't like doing drum solos. It's just too much because I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I'm a bit
That's
of a
why I'm
perfectionist.
critical of myself. Yeah,
that's part of what I was trying to say as well. Like this perfectionism.
Totally,
keep going.
Yeah, we're on the same train line there.
Yeah, we're all on the same.
Yeah, man, perfect. Like, and I real. As soon as if I know a drum solo is coming up, it's way worse than if someone just surprises me with one. If someone surprises me with one, there's a good chance that I'll just do it, and I'll actually just feel it like you should in a solo. It should be a subconscious. It should be a subconscious expression of all the music you've ever listened to. It's influenced you in a little way.
So you're saying a planned solo is harder than an solo
for me because I know that it's coming. Sometimes if I can get past that sort of mental barrier and I can just really let myself loose in the solo, but a lot of the time I'm being super self-critical and analysing everything I'm doing all the way through the solo as it's happening. And that really just gets in the way, honestly. And then I start to think, oh, that wasn't good. I've got to do something better to make up for that thing I just did.
What are you thinking at the time you're drumming?
Yes.
Excuse me for a minute.
Instead of turning off the thinking.
Yeah, and I need to turn off the thinking. Because
turn off the thinking.
I've got to play by feel. And it's got to be subconscious and it's got to come from a place, not a conscious place. I think, because it's really when I'm doing a drum solo, when anyone's like doing a solo, it's really like it's just an expression of feeling the energy that they're feeling at that time, and what's going into that is like all of their compounded experiences as a musician, their ability to play, and all of their influences sort of go into that. That's sort of what.
Well, that's a good point too. What are your influences? Because I know you're a Chili Pepper fan.
Jazz filled you in on that,
mate. I was born on the Chili Peppers.
Yeah, man.
That was my teenage music.
Big Chad
every
Smith
album.
fan, man. I love his the way that he. It's really like his sloshy hi hats. Actually, it's like to get real specific there, but like that's the way that he plays with his like it's just like it just feels unstoppable. His playing, and
he's an animal.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's just got this fantastic attitude of like it's gonna. Once he starts, he won't stop.
Yeah, Chad Smith is amazing. What are your other? We agree on that one, but I don't know many drummers. But he's probably my number one. Chad.
I always struggle with this question because I listen to so much different stuff, and I'm just like I've sort of haven't really fully taken on the importance of like just remembering names of like good drummers. I sort of hear something that's really cool, and like that's amazing, and I'll take it in. Because I only have to hear something like once or twice, and I'll remember it.
Yeah, I get where you're going there. Yeah, I'm the same with movie stars. You know, someone will say,
"Yeah,
who's the person in that movie?"
I'm terrible.
And
Pop
I'm
culture's beyond me, man.
No idea. Sorry.
But then I see a photo of them, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I know that person."
Yeah, I've seen that person. Yeah, yeah, that's
tons of times. Exactly, man. Yeah,
I've got a handful that like Jack
Nicholson. I don't know
all
Jack
the classics, some of the classics. Anyway, that's film.
Yeah, man.
Different world.
Let me see if I can think of a few other drummers. When I first started playing drums, like 10 years ago, about then, I was really into Neil Peart from Rush. So he's the guy with the drum kit, which is so big it just like completely surrounds him. Do you know who Neil Peart is? Do you know what Rush is?
Sorry, no. Okay. What genre are they?
Oh, it's like progressive rock. Yeah, progressive from like.
What year?
I'm going to get this wrong, and it's going to be really embarrassing. Like I'm going to say the 70s. I'm pretty sure it's the 70s. Jez would know this. Yeah. But they have these fantastic long songs, like 7, 10, 14-minute long songs. This is one song called YYZ by Rush, and the drummer, he has this solo which goes for like a couple of minutes, and it's just awesome. I remember like listening to that and just being blown away that like how brave you must have to be, because this is like it's a live audio recording. It's from a gig that they played, and they were playing in front of like a festival audience.
You said brave. Why'd you say brave?
Brave. I'm getting to that. It's brave because, at least from my perspective, doing drum solos, is that he was put on the spot, and he is put on this, like, he is carrying everything, because it's only him playing. This is a drum solo for several minutes, and he's got thousands and thousands of people watching, and he just does it, and it's awesome, and it feels so fluid, and it just feels like a direct expression of his playing, of his influences, you know, like I was saying before, and just being brave enough to just do that, and just for several minutes, and it sounds like he would have been able to go for several minutes more.
What if you did the same thing? You would find that hard. Is that what you're saying?
I think I would find that very difficult. It's like a mental barrier. I'm still working on that kind of mental barrier of doing drum solos and just being able to be the center of attention at a gig. Really, is sort of what I'm getting at, for like an extended period of time, and just feeling that naturally, and just you know,
you've been playing for years, right?
I've been playing for 10 years, man. Yeah, but as a drummer, it's a very supportive role. A good drummer, you want to be able to be a listener, almost more than a player. You want to be listening to what's going on and supporting that as a primary goal, and then like expressing yourself and doing crazy stuff as sort of a secondary. Really, that's sort of the way that I've been approached drums, really, and so I've done that for a long time, and that's a very good thing to be able to do as a drummer, to just be able to support. Everyone wants to work with you. You're like that,
right, exactly.
You know, because they got to do what they want, and you'll just support them. You'll put the foundation down, and they can play over the top of that, and whatever they do is very well supported. And I love that. Like my personality, that suits my personality, man.
Yeah, of course you play like that because you're who you are.
Yeah, it's just like that's the kind of person I am.
Yeah.
Say doing this drum soloing thing, when I heard talking about Neil Peart from Rush.
Okay.
Yeah, the drummer from Rush, and he was like one of my earliest.
Geddy Lee's the bass player.
Yeah, he's insane as well. It's a 3-piece, and they sound like a 7-piece rock band. It's insane.
That's right.
Yeah, because he plays bass and sings and plays piano with his feet.
Hate it,
but that's
it's not. It's not funky, man. No. You're funky. Like you like.
This is an old influence.
Well, you know my ears.
Way more into
I'd like it or not like it.
I don't think you'd like it, but it's a great reference, and you probably should listen to it.
Yeah,
anyway.
But he should check it out. He impressed me so much because he could do a drum solo for.
It's like musicians' music.
Yeah,
even
yeah, that's very true. Yeah. And he could do a drum solo for like 5 minutes and then just keep going. And like, I'm like, man, that is like something that I would aspire to be years and years and years. Like that was just like a really, really far away, unattainable goal. I'm like, yeah, all right.
Sure thing.
This is like, I've got so much ahead of me. I can just go now.
See, it's almost like Neil Peart is kind of the same for you as Victor Wooten is for me. It's
there
like
you go.
Most people that don't play bass or play music, most people aren't going to listen to it and go, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to listen to this every day because it makes me sing and dance.
Musicians.
It's like, for me, it's like I listen to Victor Wooten. It's like, wow, how can I study this? This is amazing.
Because he's like very about pushing the boundaries of what you can do on a bass guitar, right?
Totally. Yeah. Totally. That's what he's about.
Puts it out in the realm of musicians' music.
Yeah, exactly. Musicians' music, for want of a better term, you know.
You've played me, Wooten.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And
it's pretty mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling music. It's really mind-boggling. Even like the videos of him playing. Like I remember the first time I watched a DVD of Victor Wooten was I'm just staring at his hands, just like, how is he doing this? How is he making all of this sound? And you watch him, he's just like, big smile on his face, just going.
Yeah.
And it's going.
I love that. He hasn't lost
what is going on?
He hasn't lost the importance of just feeling and enjoying himself. Like
some kind of crazy freak that just owns something. You know, one of those masters.
Oh, absolutely.
Crazy.
Absolutely. An ascended master, one might say.
Right. It's become, the bass guitar has become such an extension of himself.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe he's the extension of the bass guitar. Who even knows anymore when it comes to Victor Wooten?
That's an oh shit moment.
Oh shit.
Definitely an oh shit. 100% shit. Fucking
Man,
is the musician, is the instrument the extension of the musician? Or does the instrument, musician eventually become the extension of the instrument?
Maybe the music makes the musician rather than the musician making the music. Oh, it's both and.
Both and.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
One flesh.
One flesh.
It's a marriage, one flesh.
Oh. Yeah.
You should flesh out that concept, Robert. What do you mean?
Well, we could do that.
Jobbie.
Sound like one
Jobbie.
flesh.
Huh? Jobbie.
What was your question?
Flesh out this marriage. Flesh.
With your instrument? Want a ceremony? What are you asking?
Can you marry me and my bass at the moment as a qualified minister, of the Anglican Church? I can tell by your robes.
No.
That's why you wanted the robes.
Wrong.
Darth Jobbie. I think maybe
wrong.
Darth
Jobbie.
You do look quite warm, which is nice.
And religious.
Comfortable. Yeah, it's kind of religious as well. It's kind of academic too.
I asked you. I didn't want to wear the robe.
I told you to because I think it suits
I wanted you to wear the robes because you
out.
Didn't want to wear the robes.
It was 2 on 3.
I thought that would make it interesting.
No. Yeah, that's right.
Democracy.
It is interesting. It's given us a talking point.
Democracy can be a bit.
It's given us a talking
be a bit
point.
Malevolent and manipulative.
In the same way that Star Pupil has given us a talking point, this is giving us a talking point as well. So that's fine.
Oh, well, we can say
but
we can talk about Vaudeville Smash as well.
It was a vote.
I love
and
these
it was
guys,
a democracy.
Man. Yeah, me too.
You guys voted robe. Bloody thing. Bastards.
You could have vetoed. You could have trumpoed that shit.
Trumpoed.
Yeah, I think he secretly wanted to wear. He wanted to wear the robes, really.
He did.
Did you just coin that then? Trumpoed.
Trumpoed,
yeah.
Yeah, Trumpo.
Heard that before.
Well, there's people called Trumpo, I'm sure. I'm sure I've heard Trumpo.
Trumpoed.
Dumbo.
I think you just made up a new word. That is cool.
Well, trumping someone, right? That's like you can trump a decision. You can be
trumping
like, you can
already
just
exists.
Trumping.
Yeah.
But
Trumpo,
when you trump, you can Trumpo.
Trumpo.
You've been trumpoed. You're fired. And you're trumpoed.
Oh my god.
Shit, can we talk about?
Well, we talked about Vaudeville Smash for a moment.
Huh?
These guys, man.
Yeah.
I think you might like them. I think you might. They are super funky, man. But it's also like there's total disco elements to it that I really like that might turn you off a bit.
It's yacht rock.
It's a yacht rock kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sure.
If that makes any sense.
It's like yacht disco, yacht funk.
Yacht funk.
But I love it, man. They're so much fun.
I'll have to hear it.
You'd have to see.
There's some disco I like.
That's the thing is, I think
I'm one of those fussy
with these
eaters.
dudes, you've got to see them live. Yeah,
yeah, you do.
You've got to see them live. Music. So for me, it was I saw them live a few times and just danced my ass off, man. I don't get up and dance, right? That's not.
Unless
I
you
mean,
have a bass guitar
sometimes. Yeah, that's right. I'll dance while
I seen you.
I'll dance while I'm wearing my bass, but it's rare for me to get up and dance. If I'm not like super smashed, like if I'm really drunk, I might do that, or it's more likely to happen. But if I hear a band that I really, really like the groove, then I'm just going to get up and dance. And these guys, I hear them, the Vaudeville Smash.
Where are they from?
They're from Melbourne.
Melbourne, okay.
Yeah. They're a current Melbourne band, and
they're doing quite well for themselves.
They do. They're in Italy at the moment.
They are in Italy, aren't they?
That's right.
I've got the
touring
lead
the
singer
world,
on
man.
Instagram.
And
the world's where it's at.
When I hear these guys, so I was at Broadbeach. I've seen them a few times, right? But then after I'd already seen them and danced my ass off, I was at Broadbeach.
Blues on Broadbeach.
Blues on Broadbeach this year. And from my apartment, I could hear this music start up. I'd been listening to Canned Heat and going, yeah, that's pretty cool. But I'm just in my apartment doing what I'm doing. Yeah. Balcony doors open, just listening to the music, not out in the crowd because I'm an introvert. But then I hear this music and I start dancing. I'm like, I know this music. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Shut the doors, run down. Bang! Straight into the front row because I hear them. I'm like, that's Vaudeville Smash, man. I love this, and it really makes me dance. So it's the sort of music you like. Then I've heard their recorded stuff. I don't know. The atmosphere is different. Totally like they've got this crackling energy that's so tangible in their live concerts that it's like it's still there in their recorded stuff, but it's just different.
Are you saying that it's more live than recorded? Is that what you're saying? Because that's a big thing.
That's a thing.
Oh, I think I agree with you.
You think they're better live than recorded?
That's a big skill. That's a big thing.
Well, I think it's got to do something with the actual production of it as well. So in a live concert, you've got a very live sound. It's all happening it's very open and there's all the sound is just flying everywhere. In a studio, when you're producing a record, and particularly with Vaudeville Smashes stuff,
it's so dry,
very dry, very very dry.
The
everything's
the atmosphere is not. Yeah, the atmosphere hasn't been captured.
Yeah, but there's
and I bet if you were a fly on the wall in that recording studio, it'd probably sound fantastic, right?
Yeah,
something to do with the recording technique.
I've seen footage of them recording, and it's in padded rooms, sort of like this one, very dead sounding,
1 instrument at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that real disco setup.
And that's the sound. That's the sound they're going for in their albums.
Oh, atmosphere.
See, I like to think of if you start with the recorded Vaudeville Smash and listen to them, you're like, wow, this is actually this is really good music. The very well written parts, well arranged, well produced. Then you go see them live, and it absolutely blows you away. Absolutely blows you away. Yeah.
So that's probably what it is for me.
Yeah.
It's like my mind was blown by the live show. And I hear their recorded stuff and it's like, wow, it's a little bit, it's so contained.
Well, that was a big thing with Pink Floyd too. Their live shows were...
Right.
Yeah, they did a live show with quadraphonic sound at one point. So they actually had speakers on the stage. So say the band's here on the stage and then you've got your audience. They had the two left and right speakers and then they had another set of speakers at the back. So back, left, and right, and what that allowed them to do
at the back of the stage,
behind the audience. So say the audience is here watching the band. Audience is here, and the audience is surrounded by speakers. Basically, they've got surround sound in a way. Quadraphonic audio.
Quadraphonic. I've never heard.
It's 4 channels.
You haven't heard
two.
quadraphonic before?
Never. So basically,
my dad taught me about that.
When you're listening,
your dad's a Pink Floyd
when you listen to music. You have left and right. So on headphones, right, you have your left and right side. Sometimes you might hear something's more on the left side or more on the right side.
Sure.
And you can do that when you have 2 channels, left and right. When you have 4 channels...
So it's just surround sound.
It's another dimension.
It's more than surround sound.
It's more than surround. So you can actually move things. So say you've got your audience and you've got your 4 speakers, you can move stuff around within that whole space by making it louder and quieter in all the speakers. It's insane.
It's pretty
really, really cool.
amazing.
So Pink Floyd were doing this live. It's sort of a thing which never kind of took off. Sort of like Blu-ray versus DVD. DVD was massive. Blu-ray was like, it's there, but it wasn't as big. Sort of quadraphonic was a thing which was there, and it didn't go crazy.
Maybe they saw it as too much effort. Like, why did they give up on it? Because it was a pretty damn good system.
Well, I mean, it worked maybe more for certain genres that maybe weren't mainstream enough.
That's true.
And then you have money on top of all that has just, tanked it all. And if the money wasn't in it, then it wasn't going to be developed enough. But so Pink Floyd did this live. They were doing this live in the 70s or the 80s. And they'd move sounds around the audience. They'd move, and it was amazing.
That's really cool to think about.
For their music, right? Because their music's so atmospheric and almost what's another word? Cinematic as well.
Sure.
And to be able to
that's
use
a good
that
word
space.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there.
Yeah, and then coupled with all the visual elements.
Kind of like War of the Worlds, that musical. That's very cinematic. That's amazing.
Very.
And I see that when you say that about Pink Floyd, I see it with The Wall. I see it with The War of the Worlds. It's the same.
Same ballpark. Same area of scatology. The study of shit. And that's what we're doing right now. Just talking shit.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Just talking
the study of shit. We're just talking shit. Quadraphonic sound.
But I remember seeing this.
Quadraphonic sound is not.
There's shit. No, it's not. And like the way you were talking about the way that you can, like make the sound go that way.
Yeah, man.
There's this really cool.
My dad was into
this really cool Pink Floyd. It's not a concert because there was no audience, but they played a live show in this amphitheater in Greece with a camera on a circular track. Just going around them in a circle the whole show, and so they've sort of taken that oral concept that they had with this quadraphonic sound and then turned it into a video concept as well. So that you've actually opened up like another dimension of understanding that concept because it's something that you can get on DVD or Blu-ray or steal it from the internet.
Because you could I understand quadraphonic. You get records that were quadraphonic, or you get CDs, I think. Because you might know more about this.
Oh, no, not really. No. I just remember Dad having a quadraphonic setup for a couple of years.
Really?
I think he hocked it.
Did he?
Oh, you can. Okay. The idea you could get that.
Hard life.
You'd have speakers, sort of like a 5.1 surround sound system, similar to that concept where you'd have speakers in all corners of the room.
Yeah.
And you'd listen to music like that.
Oh, it's amazing.
So you'd sit there and the
and you can
record,
also have,
or the CD would have 4 channels of audio.
Have the sound travel as well.
Exactly.
Speaker to speaker.
Yeah.
You can have rain over here.
So cool.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Thunder over there.
Yep.
Right around.
It's insane what you can do. It's sort of like having
it is,
like a one-dimensional where it's like a line from left to right versus having a two-dimensional, which is instead of a line, you've got a plane. And you can move sound anywhere instead of just from left to right.
Imagine if you had cubophonic sound. Tesseractical sound.
Just did some...
Yeah.
Did some Elon Musk shit.
I just shot a car into space.
Yeah, he did that, didn't he?
Cubophonic sound. Elon Musk.
3D sound. And
what the hell?
I can actually offer some insight here.
Can you?
The 3D sound does actually exist. It exists within headphones most successfully at this point, where they can. What they'll do is what you can get is something called a binaural microphone, and record sound with that. And what it is, it's basically a plastic head with microphones built into where the ears would be. Right.
Oh.
So what they do, what you do is person's ears. So they have a plastic, like a mannequin head kind of thing, and then where the ears are, they have the microphones, which are doing the recording.
Microphone in someone's ears?
Not someone's ears, like a mannequin head, a plastic head, which is made, and they put the microphones where the ears would be, to then record. And then what they do is they record something.
Record the mannequin.
No, they take that head and they put it in the environment recording something else that they're recording. That head is just there to simulate someone's head and where someone's ears would be. So basically, if something goes above that head or in front of it or behind it, it sounds actually like it is behind you or above you or to the side of you, based on the reflections from the space that you're in, and all of that in reference to where those two microphones are, where the ears would normally be.
Yeah.
So basically, you're recording exactly as if a human was listening to the actual source.
Yeah.
And in that sense, the recording you can get from that, when listened to in headphones, will sound like 3D sound. You can hear things as if they're below you, or behind you, or in front of you, or to the side you, or above you. So you can actually have 3D sound. And it works in another way as well, where you can have sensors on your headphones that you're wearing, coupled with sensors in the room that you're sitting in when you're listening. And when you move your head, you can move your head, and it's as if you're in the space where the audio is recorded, because when you move your head, the things will move around corresponding to how you move your head. So
really?
Yeah. So basically, I tried this out once. Really? So I went to Germany to this.
So if you move your head, you'll hear it differently.
You'll hear it differently, as if you're actually in the space. And this ties into VR. This ties into virtual reality. This is why 3D audio exists, because virtual reality, they wanted to be able to have the virtual headphones on, and then when you move your head, the environment moves around as well. So say there's like a record player playing a song over there, and I've got the 3D audio going on. I move my head, and the record player will move over that way in my headphones. So I'll hear that difference in my headphones. Same as like things move above you and below you. And so I experienced this. I went to Germany to this festival, which was like all about production of music for games, for any kind of media, games, film, anything. And they had this guy come in and explain this software that you can get as a music composer, where you can actually compose in 3D. So I put this VR headset on and headphones on, and I was in a church. I was in a cathedral. I could see and I could look around, and I could see I was in a cathedral. And I was a choir over there, and there was a band, like an orchestra over there. And I could move my head around, and as I moved my head around, the orchestra would move and the band would move. So I was actually there, right? And then furthermore, the really cool thing was then I could, like in VR with the controllers that I had, I could select certain things and bring them closer or further away or move them up or down in the virtual environment that I had. And I could mix audio that way in 3D.
Fuck. You can mix audio in 3D.
Yeah.
That must have blown your mind.
It was amazing. Man. Yeah.
Wow.
Just the idea. And then the listener can listen to that later with headphones on, and you just close your eyes and you can experience that in
That's amazing.
3D. So the third dimension of audio
Did you put your phone
does exist.
Plane mode? Robert.
Likes the dings.
Oh,
you like the attention.
I don't want to
like the attention, don't you?
Stuff with the
so if we have to cut the dings out, if it's too distracting, we can just cut.
I don't think they'll come up in these microphones.
Oh, they come up. Oh, you can pause it.
I can mute the entire audio.
Well, the audio is still rolling, so
yeah, we don't want to pause anything. That was a problem with the pilot. Yeah, was that I'd pause the sound or something because I'm trying to get it, but the video's
I'm not pausing.
I'm trying to get the sync. Oh my god,
the kitchen sink.
I don't. Yeah, well, this had all the problems, including the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
What Jeremy's referencing is the last 5 days of hell
that I created for you.
No.
You two guys try to make a podcast.
It was the pilot.
You've never made a podcast.
That's right. That's right. Never done it. Yeah, it's probably been however long since you've fucking edited together like
certainly a taste
hour,
of Hades.
half hour
that's
long
for
thing.
Damn sure.
The devil.
We're texting back and forth like, fuck.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I just get a YouTube link at the end of it all. It's like, oh, look, that must have been easy.
How pleasant. How pleasant.
I'm just
how
watching
pleasant.
this podcast. Yeah. It's lovely. What goes behind the scenes no one ever hears about.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I've heard about it now. It's on the podcast.
Scatology.
You couldn't help yourselves, could you?
Well, we had to have a
catharsis.
That's it.
Yeah.
Of course, we had to get it. We had to.
This was good for you.
Extend that courtesy.
Which means it's good for the listeners.
That's right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Vent the pilot.
The shit pilot. Vent the shit pilot.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this one's a bit better.
Well, thankfully, here at Sound Out Studios, we're
in Sound Out Studios.
We have the owner, proprietor, engineer, producer, expert, that is Casper Hall, doing the sound for us today.
Yeah.
So I don't
better
expect.
Sound.
I don't expect.
Well, it's sound.
It's going to be better sound.
Yeah, it's going to be better sound because we're going to get the sync right.
Yeah.
Plus, we can have all these extra microphones and.
It's actually what it
you
is.
See it recording.
It's
all those red lines.
The color red is faster than any other color, right?
That's right. It sure is.
Very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I use red microphone leads.
Red leads, red bandana.
Actually, yeah.
Red lights.
It's like I planned this.
Red letters. Red women.
That's right. And so that makes the audio go faster. So it sounds better.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It actually really works.
Bullshit, but yeah.
But I have red cable for my box here.
Yeah. We're not mucking around here. Like,
yeah, we're not here to fuck spiders, Casper.
No, definitely not.
Definitely not.
Can't.
I bet you could.
That's one of the reasons we're not here to fuck spiders.
There are people with very small peni, and there are very large. There are very large spiders as well.
Is that a term for a penis singular?
Should be.
Should be.
Like dice, peni, penis.
Penile.
Well, peni's kind of more. Peni's kind of more. One penis, two peni.
Same Latin root. What's the actual Latin root? Just peni? Is that the Latin root? Is that what you're talking about?
I believe it's.
We don't have a guy yet sitting on the camera.
Penne, like the pasta.
Looking shit up for us.
Yeah. Where's your laptop?
I brought my laptop. I went and grabbed it just before.
You don't even need
Latin
laptop.
Penis root. If I look up Latin penis root, it's going to come up with something way different than what you're hoping. But it won't give us the same result of... Is it actually Latin or is it Greek?
I can't look up on my phone. It's filming.
Green peni.
There's Google.
Google.
In my pocket. That's how we roll these days.
Let's just say, instead of Latin root, because it might be... No. We go penis etymology.
Yeah, that's right. The study of
words and language.
Oh, words.
I know what that means.
Penisography.
I did a postgrad degree. I know what etymology
means. It is Latin. And
Myself
penis in Latin actually means tail. Tail. So that's where it comes from. It comes from like our frontward tail. It's like a peni. And since it's Latin, we can't say peni because that's more Greek. Or a plural. Actually, probably Latin. Might be Latin. Plurals. Do you know your Latin declensions? Right. Do you know your Latin declensions?
I know more German than Latin
declensions. Because P-E-N
I know more Japanese than Latin.
Could be plural. The proper plural...
The only Latin I know is the scientific Latin.
The proper plural is P-E-N-E-S. Penis.
Like the pasta.
Like the pasta.
Not quite.
That's right. And the adjective...
I'm going to make pasta later.
...is penial. Penial. The adjective. If it is to do with the penis, it is penial.
So...
Like vaginal, penial.
Penial.
Vaginal, penial.
It's interesting that the term phallic. Actually, phallic isn't really connected to the word penis.
Phallus is more Greek. That's a Greek thing. PH, any word with a PH is more likely to be Greek than Latin.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Latin's just had an F.
So if something's phallic, it's not...
It's like a Greek dick.
And this is why it's Shitology.
Fucking hairy.
Three blokes talking about.
Have you ever seen a Greek dick? Anyone? Maybe you know. Have you seen a Greek dick?
Have I seen a Greek
We might
dick?
be shaming things here. If you're Greek and you have a dick,
can't think of any Greek dicks I might have seen.
Let us know in the comments.
I've known some Greek dicks.
Like, subscribe, hit the bell. That's the YouTube shit. Yeah. Like, subscribe, hit the bell.
Hit the bell.
Yeah,
every fucking video, man. Like, subscribe,
hit that Greek phallic bell.
It'd be cool if you could have a Greek. No. Probably a bad idea. So phallic's not related to penis.
Well,
the word phallic's not related to the word penis.
It's not related to the word penis. Only in
that must be a common.
So this is pretty interesting.
Phallus means pole, basically.
More like that rather than that. That's more vaginal. This is
pole.
This is
phallus means pole. Like
but
phallus symbols. Phallus, like if you've got like
phallus and penis are different
statue that's just a pole.
The same thing.
Yeah.
And the Latins have Greek roots in terms of his society and culture.
You could even say
all related.
A lighthouse is a phallic symbol, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Beaming its light on everyone.
That's just good engineering.
Just good engineering.
Just good engineering.
Maybe that's what a penis is like. You know,
just good engineering.
Yeah, he was the one that went Freudian. Not me.
I can't help myself.
I didn't go Freudian.
Freudian.
Maybe one day we'll get Jungian and I'll go right into the shadow.
Sometimes Freudian's all right, but
you're more Jungian,
crowd.
aren't you? You're more Jungian.
What you mean?
Like in your terms of understanding, like
no, I'm eclectic.
Class. Okay. But like your classic philosophy.
Freudian?
Classic philosophy.
I'm eclectic. Depends
classic
on the
philosophy.
case.
You've got Freud, who's like the father of psychology, and then you've got Jung, who's damn, I did it again.
A vagina.
Jung, who was his student, yeah.
Jung, who was his student, and
like
that they were
like
the next one down, like Plato and Aristotle when it comes to philosophers. And Freud, you should explain Freudian then, because Freud had this idea that
I'm liking your explanation.
Okay,
with the hands.
Stop me when I'm wrong. Stop me when I'm wrong. So Freud said that everything that happened is a result. Every human behavior is a result of sexual impulse. And so when you say Freudian, it's like saying that everything's about dicks and sex. Yeah, that we live to procreate and propagate the series. Whereas species,
not sex procreation then.
But yeah, well, just
the reason to
fucking
procreate.
Sex, man.
Yeah.
that's why, like, it's this
pleasure
procreation.
And sex for
that's
procreation.
right. And so for Freud, then you've got sex for all kinds of messed up reasons. But it's all
Freud.
sex. And so when you say Freudian, it's just like every motivation is about sex. Whereas Jung, his student, said, well, actually, humans experience a range of different drives. So it's not just sex. It's we're motivated by what are his archetypes? We're motivated by, yes, we've got sex. We've got our shadow selves, which is like the things that we suppress that aren't always simply sexual. Yeah. Whereas Freud would say that the only things that we repress are our sexual drives. Jung would say, hey, man, we actually suppress a lot of things, and all of them can come out in awkward, weird, dangerous ways. And it's something...
Freud talked about hormones. Jung talked about genetic memory.
Genetic
memory? That's how I perceive it.
Yeah, okay.
Genetic what do you mean by that? What do you mean?
Well, when you're getting into Jung's collective consciousness and carried on memories, it's kind of the same as genetic memory, which is proven.
Is it?
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know, but I've like postulated about this.
Well,
I've heard mixed
put yourself
theories.
in this place. If you had 100 generations of Jews getting killed, do you think you're going to be born fearful? Genetically?
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that somehow
it happens
down.
Because the people that were afraid of
that's deep stuff. That's deep stuff.
Well, are the ones that survived.
I sort of believe that perhaps some aspect of personality is passed down to your children when you have a father.
genetically.
So yeah, genetically, and that's sort of what I think you're getting onto.
Same with plants.
So some
going
aspects
to our
of
plant
personality is what you both
My parents are both.
Same with plants.
My parents are both very
plants.
different.
Plants. We're being bred by plants to create.
Bred by plants.
Yeah, to create carbon dioxide. Didn't you know? Trees are harvesting us. They were first, and then they made.
They will eat us.
They will. They'll continue to eat us. There's plenty of ways that plants benefit from our existence more than we benefit from theirs. So maybe they're the
only
ones
problem
that
is we're cutting down the plants.
Plantial or plantian?
Yeah, plants probably deserve to.
Probably
do. They will.
At least they're not a bunch of bastards.
That's a guarantee. The plants will outlast us, for sure.
Like the planet will. It's sort of like
That's
the
right.
plants.
The planet will go on.
The plants are more of an extension of.
Too.
Yeah, the plants are more of an extension of the planet than we are.
Mother Earth is
sure if that's true.
Powerful than
I'm
us.
not sure if that's true. I think we're obviously an extension of the planet. I think we couldn't exist on this planet unless we're an extension of the planet.
We exist on this planet without plants.
Yeah, but does that mean that? Does that mean that?
No, we can't.
Yeah, I don't think we could. There's certain symbiotic relationships, but there have to be some scientific breakthroughs to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
maybe a digital oxygen maker. A digital oxygen maker. So yeah, well, it's got to be computer-based.
Artificial converter of.
So we can have a symbiotic relationship.
CO2 to oxygen.
Mm.
They could exist already. I'm not sure on that one.
Very deep.
Not sure on that one.
Deep subject. There's probably a lot of scientists working on this right now.
There could be. What do you think they're working on?
I have no idea, and that's the point.
Well,
it's something that we can't make.
Talking about making oxygen. Plants do it just through living.
Photosynthesis. Simulated photosynthesis.
Yeah, I don't know if they've managed to do that yet. I think I've read things from maybe in not reputable sources saying that they've managed to create photosynthesis artificially, but I don't actually know if it's true yet.
Sure.
We could probably Google it.
Probably could. Don't have to.
Don't have to. Fuck that.
Maybe.
Yeah, don't fucking have to.
We don't have to do anything, man. We don't have to sit here and talk.
That was gold.
You can just go and not talk to anyone.
Do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law.
We're all serious and shit too. Excellent.
Artificial photo. Yes.
This is egging you on to
Artificial photosynthesis is a chemical process that biomimics the natural process of photosynthesis to convert sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide into carbohydrates and oxygen. So it is an actual thing. They've managed to do artificial photosynthesis. Well, actually think about it this way. So look at solar panels. That is sort of like photosynthesis because you're converting the energy from the sun into something that we can use, right? Photosynthesis at its base is plants converting the energy from the sun into something they can use, which, if very specifically for photosynthesis, is carbohydrates and oxygen, like what it said, which those are forms of energy which the plant can use. Solar panels is sort of like humans' way of photosynthesizing sunlight into something that we can use. We turn it into electricity, which then we can use.
Yeah, man. I love my solar panels. Saves me a lot of money.
Yeah, I reckon there should be solar panels on every roof.
Well, I think it's a big thing for advancing the species, man. Like, and for us sticking around as a bunch of like humans. Like if we keep
bastards.
If we keep
my house is
if we keep raping the earth for a little bit off the coal and plutonium and whatever the hell, there's only so much of that the earth can provide. And so, at very worst, we're going to kill everything if we keep on that current trajectory. But in terms of how much energy the sun can provide, I mean, we've still got thousands of years before that thing runs out, right?
And then you've got
the sun will end up eating us.
So gravity.
But we've got hopefully
you can use gravity.
Hopefully humans are still around by that time, and hopefully humans have gotten to a point where they're not so reliant on living in this particular sphere. They don't have to live on the earth right now. They can move before the sun eats us. But we're not going to be able to move until we can harness solar power, and like
there's other renewable energies as well, like hydroelectricity.
Hydroelectricity,
gravity,
sure.
So water flowing downhill. So you can harness that power.
Harness that.
And then
That's
you can
right,
use
man.
part of that power to pump the water back up the hill. And then you can create
that's the old,
positive...
what do they call those things?
Turbines.
Those wheels?
Water wheels, man. Yeah.
Water mills.
So that's actually a sustainable source. It's a sustainable source of electricity. It costs slightly less electricity to pump the water back up again so that it will fall down than what that water will generate because you're taking advantage of gravity. That's
and that's one of the guiding principles of the universe. The law of gravity.
Yeah, if the sun dies, we still have that.
Sure.
So it's potentially infinite.
Potentially infinite.
I mean,
we still have gravity. We still have electromagnetism.
Yeah,
we still have quasars. All of these things.
So what, you're assuming that we've actually managed to piss off from Earth?
We'll still have gravity. If we manage to piss off from Earth before the sun dies, we will still have gravity.
The sun will eat us before it dies. It'll become a red giant before it dies.
Not if we've moved to Pluto.
Oh, yeah. I don't know much about star life cycles.
Yeah, they get bigger
and
hotter.
Billions of years.
And then they...
Yeah.
They sort of implode.
It's not going to die tomorrow.
Yeah, but what if we figure out immortality in the next 20 years and then we all last forever?
Sorry?
What if we figure out immortality
in the Elon Musk figures it out?
Like, within our lifetimes and then, well...
Nope.
Yeah, I don't want to be immortal.
Well, it's not going to happen anyway.
It's sort of shit for anyone who lives in a linear...
you might be able to upload your memories to some cloud, but that's not you.
Some level of consciousness.
That's what you are. Your consciousness.
No, I don't think that's going to work. I really doubt that'll work. I know some people think
rather reincarnation
that could be a thing. I just don't see it working, though.
Why?
Can you imagine uploading your consciousness? How is that going to work?
You would have to achieve consciousness within an AI first to be able to then read and understand what someone's consciousness is to then make a copy of it. You pretty much have to make a copy of it and then upload it. That's the way that you would do it. So you'd need to be able to,
Oh, shit.
You need to be able to actually fully scan someone's consciousness and a computer to be able to understand that. So it'd be like your potential responses to anything that
the barriers, They're the barriers.
And then upload that and then, even download it back into something which that consciousness can then exist and, output back again. So like, a robot, right? You put the consciousness in a robot and then it can be interacted with again. Like the consciousness can be interacted with. At the moment,
this is the contemporary debate. Everybody's talking about AI at the moment. Everybody.
True. Yeah.
It's everybody's talking about.
True.
Some Elon Musk's Neuralink.
Oh my God.
We watched that
I'm not a
video
fan of that at all.
It raises a lot of terrifying ideas, doesn't it?
It does. A lot of terrifying ideas.
Yeah. So they put about 10,000 tiny little hair-like probes into your brain to measure You've seen the.
I've seen. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm doing a very quick explanation for the viewers.
Teach Jeremy because I know exactly what you're talking about.
He watched it as well.
Oh right. Okay.
The point being is they put all these little probes into someone's brain, and they're all connected to a central chip, which is also underneath the scalp. So it's all inside your head, and basically those probes, there's 10,000 of them plus, all linked into your brain, and they can read and write. So what they can do is they can read what your brain is thinking, and then translate that into text, whatever, whatever you're thinking. If you're thinking words, I want to see it. Can come out. Yeah, they haven't tested it on humans yet.
But testing on humans, that's a whole other thing too.
Yeah.
Raises all kinds of...
chucking wires into people's heads and seeing if you can read their mind.
So the terrifying thing was, because you've got the wires in your head, right? You've got the Neuralink in your head, and it's read and write. So what it can do, because that can actually send impulses back into your brain to then cause you to do things. So it's basically, it could be abused. You'd have to have volunteers
who sign themselves up.
There'd be plenty of volunteers, though. There would be plenty of volunteers.
Probably.
Yeah,
same with the trip to Mars.
There'd be rights.
The idea of a one-way trip to Mars.
Yep.
The idea of a one-way trip to Mars. You had hundreds of thousands of people volunteering for that. It's not something that I'd do. I don't want a one-way trip to Mars, but there are some people that are just like, yes, bring it on. In the same way that there's going to be people that are going to be like, yes, implants, brain implants.
Yeah.
Bring it on. I'll
Like
be
Elon
happy
Musk.
to be a guinea pig for that.
Yeah.
Oh, not me, though.
Do
Not
people
me.
realise they have to be really, really super
that-
fit to get to Mars? Otherwise, they're going to die on the journey.
Well, I think that's a really good point.
Well,
you just
that
brought up.
weeds out.
I think that's a really good
to
point. you
tens of
just brought up,
thousands.
Is that I don't think people
gotta be
really
realistic at
I
the
don't
same
think
time.
people
Absolutely
really
you do.
realize. I think most people are sort of brainwashed with just the idea and the wonder of it, and they don't actually look or think about the real implications.
Yeah.
Maybe because they
Or you think
they don't
about it
consider-
deeply. Yeah.
Yeah, they really think about how it's going to affect you, and then how it's going to affect just like humans as a race. Really, if things like this just start to be the normal, if people have things in their brains which are wireless and can be hacked into to actually cause you to, they can, we were saying this before, like ads,
uploading a
right?
virus.
YouTube ads would now be in your brain, and if you didn't pay your monthly fee, you start seeing ads. So your
What?
eyes are blocked out,
Think about it.
and your brain. So
Think
it's
about
feeding straight into your
Fuck
brain. So
off.
it'll just show you ads, and then you can't. It's like skip in 5 seconds,
Yeah,
so
nah.
you lose.
No chip in
consciousness.
my brain, dude. No chip in
Yeah.
my brain.
Way.
No
That's terrifying.
fucking way.
So you've really got to think about
Yeah.
All the
aspects of that.
implications.
I've thought about
All
that.
the implications. That's right.
Totally.
Because
Chip in
we
my fucking
really,
brain.
I mean, Western society is definitely capitalistic, right? Like that's a real guiding principle of our society. So
Yeah,
this whole
constant
pay to play thing is really going to come into, unless something drastic changes before this technology is implemented, it's not going to be a utopian Star Trek society, man. It's going to be what we've got now plus implants. So that's, as you said, YouTube ads in our brains, right? Because somebody's got to make money. Somebody's got to pay for it because that's the world that we live in. That's the Western world.
Capitalism, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever is being provided has to be a give and take. Money has to be given back.
What's on your mind there, Robert?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, just say no to a chip in your
Just
brain.
say no. Just say no.
Yeah, I don't want to have a chip in my
I don't
brain.
want a chip in my brain.
Because
Oh, God, no.
You're
thank you.
compromising. What you do is you start to compromise individuality, which is the whole point.
Yeah.
Of being.
That's right.
It's like being alive.
Become the Borg.
Having your thoughts to yourself.
Who wants to be Borg?
And
Borg are the bad guys.
yeah. If you've seen Star Trek,
Star
what the
Trek.
Borg are.
Star Trek, Next Generation
That's
Borg.
That's what it is.
Borg, do you know
The
the Borg?
Beast.
The
Yeah,
Beast.
there's lots of images of that. through
Lots of
culture.
images,
The
right
hive
on.
mind of
The hive mind. No thanks. Part of what makes everything go round for us as humans is our individuality. Creativity and individuality. All of that.
Terminator 2 was based on, us creating something crazier than us and taking over.
Well, that's childbirth too, isn't it? Creating something crazier than us.
That's true. It's true. My kids are going to
Let's
take
keep
over.
it. Let's keep it biological. God damn it.
That's so true. But do you want a machine to take? I'd rather a flesh take over from.
Yeah, flesh on flesh.
Flesh on
That's
flesh.
what we all want. What we're all
Flesh
after.
and flesh. Here we are back at flesh and flesh.
Flash on flash.
So, would you want to be fused with your bass guitar? So, for example, like
I wouldn't want to be fused. No way. No way. Ugh. Would you want to be fused with your drumsticks? Like, would you want to be attached to that forever? Like, no Netflix unless like somebody else puts it on for you because
you do it. It doesn't have to be that way, right? What I'm talking about is that
What do you mean?
You can go and plug into a bass amp, right, and then play the bass.
Oh, as in through my mind.
In whatever way.
What do you mean?
Somehow, some way, you never have to remember to physically go and take your bass and bring it with you.
That'd be helpful. That'd be helpful.
At any point,
this is a temptation he's talking about.
At any time, you
maybe
you
AI
can play bass. Whether you have some kind of amplifier built into you, or you can plug into any amplifier that's in the.
Would I modify myself?
And then you can, I don't know, you can just play bass like you would, but you wouldn't need the actual instrument. Like you've got some kind of technology which would allow you to just be always able to play bass.
No equipment, just play bass with your chip in your head.
But then come okay, so there's the reasons why not. One of them is glitches. Like, what about when
That's
it
right.
starts?
Technology can be hacked.
It doesn't always work the way that we hope it will.
You know why?
And that definitely won't be fixed in my lifetime. And two, kind of falls into the glitch thing as well. Is like there are going to be times where I just don't. I seriously, like when I meditate and I'm trying to clear my mind and I'm trying to stop all these racing thoughts, one thing that always ends up coming back is this sound of the bass guitar. And it's like part of this whole meditation is to clear that sound, right?
Why?
Why? It's like a chef trying to come home from work and not cook, that kind of thing.
And they don't. They come home and they eat noodles.
We go back to that technology not always working for a second.
Sure.
Right. How is that any different from, say, getting old and then maybe developing some kind of condition with for the rest of your life?
Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Like, I know that biologically I'll break down. Yeah, but I'm not, and so I can't imagine that scenario right now. Maybe there are going to be people, say, with cerebral palsy or some other condition that they can have this chip that they can like move properly or whatever it is, or a schizophrenic. They can like literally there's a chip that drowns out the extra voices. I'm not in that position. I'm not in that position.
No, of course not.
And
that's an interesting point.
But talking about that, like having the bass guitar thing fused into you.
So in my situation,
if that was part that you were just able to play bass at any time, wherever you were.
It sounds almost like a slave to technology. Because part of the thing is being me as a biological creature.
You're a slave to. A slave to needing to sleep every day.
Yep,
right. That's you're a slave to your brain's.
That's part of my biology. That's part of something that I have to do.
It's part of yourself that's connected to you. So what if you had that technology embedded inside of you that allowed you to play bass whenever you wanted to without having to have an instrument or remember anything, and that was so much of a part of you, and it could go wrong, just like you could like get cancer, you know.
You got to die somehow.
You could put that underneath the same umbrella and really adopt it to be part of yourself. How would it be any different from like the risk?
Because
of
it's there constantly. The technology is embedded in me.
Yeah,
the technology
sense of smell is there constantly.
Yeah, but picking up an instrument or picking up a piece of technology is not there constantly, and I need to experience things without that technology in order to translate those things to that technology.
You would be able to.
You reckon?
No. Like the way this technology.
Okay. In an ideal world, could I be 1,000% better than I already am? Well, yes. But the thing is, we don't live in an ideal world. We don't have ideal technology.
You never have. You wouldn't want to live in an ideal world. The whole point of
you don't think so?
I think.
Would you want to live in an ideal world?
I think being human is part of being the biggest part of being human is being imperfect. Right? If you were perfect, what would be it would take away really your reason to exist and be individual. Like if everyone was perfect, I don't think anyone would really be individual, because part of being imperfect is wanting. Whoa. You start to want you always want. Everyone always has people who are their idols. They want to be like them. You always want to be like something else, which isn't you. You always want to change yourself or become better. But if everyone was perfect and they could be anything.
What is perfection?
Right.
Who does?
So an imperfect world that allows for individuality, I think.
So let's then say, talking about individuality, right? Let's say there's this bass guitar chip. Does everybody that plays bass guitar get the same chip? So would every bass player become exactly the same? Would their sound be exactly the same?
Well, you could change.
You could modify it. You could equalize it, but you couldn't get the sound of your biological fingers, right? Or maybe you could.
Let's say you could.
Yeah.
But the technology's there. The point is that you're never ever hindered by. You want to. You come up with. You imagine a bass line in your head. You imagine something that you want to create, but you never.
Don't get me wrong. I can see the benefits. I can hear the benefits as we're talking.
But you're not like in what I'm suggesting is that you don't have to have it on. You can have it off, and it's not bothering you. You can not even think about it. But then,
you'd actually have an off switch.
Yeah, within yourself, and then.
But imagine having an off switch for your thoughts. Like, let's think about what we already do.
Actually, having the power to just turn a part of you off.
Thoughts.
What would that be like?
What would that be like? I'm asking.
I think that might be a power which you'd have to then learn to.
You would have to learn.
Because that's a huge, responsibility to yourself. To suddenly be able to just switch off whatever you want to. That's that's crazy.
Most things are habits. Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Habits.
What do you mean? Most things are habits?
You wouldn't have to.
Most days we just do our habits.
Our imperfections. If we
change, you got to cancel a habit. Well, and it's not easy to do, but it can be done if you understand the habit. I think that's what you can
say. If you have a habit which you've identified as a negative behavior, you don't want to do anymore. It's an imperfection, right? So back to the whole perfection thing.
And identifying
if
the
you
habit.
Can turn off all of your imperfections whenever you want to, then what's the point?
What's the point? Of existing.
What's the point of being alive?
What's the point of being perfect, Jimmy? That's what you're saying.
If you can constantly turn off anything that's bothering you, anything that's in your way.
If it wasn't hard work.
There would be no challenge. There would be nothing to overcome. There would be nothing left.
So you're saying that we dissipate.
What you're talking about is
the life of an angel.
To
tie this back down to what we're talking about, having the ability to have off switches to whatever you don't like about yourself, to whatever, that might be a real thing, which sort of a power thing. But to have that power would probably take away the whole point of even being conscious, being, existing.
Could be. In terms of our own human existence, there's definitely that constant, we're all constantly struggling against our greater and lesser natures as we judge them. And so that definitely, like, if you think about like a Buddhist viewpoint or philosophy, a Buddhist philosophy, part of existing, according to Buddhists, is to overcome your lesser nature. Even Christianity, overcome your lesser nature, and that is one of the key lessons of being alive, being like in this human experience. And that's the question: is that really true? Is that actually true? Just because the Buddhists and the Christians believe that there's struggle,
become better is
not true. Well, is it? Is it not true? Is it true?
Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's
not. I don't know if Christianity and Buddhism necessarily own that.
Well, that's just the first two things that came to mind when I started talking.
People will, like what we said, flux all the time.
In flux.
People
maybe flux is the true nature of existence, and that's the true nature of life, is being in flux.
Yes, that's the
right in the line between existence and non-existence.
The illusion of free will, isn't it? Be able to be in flux.
I don't think there's an illusion.
I don't think it's an illusion either.
That's a whole other argument.
Do you think it's an illusion? Or do you believe in like 100% fate?
Well, I think we have a linear existence. So we are on one timeline which is going forever. And really, so say you travelled forward in time and you could look back and see everything that's happened, that means that then everything that has happened is going to happen, and there's no real free will, because once you've travelled forward in time and you've seen back on that timeline, that particular timeline that you can see back and you can, you can.
Well, that's kind of where we're at now. We can see back.
Everything that's happened already has already happened. So for anyone who exists in the past, they can't change the future because it's already there.
Yeah,
right?
They're dead.
It's a timeline. So if
they did change the future in there.
But once someone's travelled forward in time, everyone that's behind them, like the past, is you can't change the past. If you were to change the past from back when you're forward in time, then that timeline, like that would be a whole different timeline. But the point is that we exist on one timeline.
Yes, that's right. It would be a whole different timeline.
That's right. The point being is that to have real free will,
otherwise.
Have free will is to be the ability to you take the timeline wherever you want it to. But
But why can't there be several different potential timelines?
Because as soon as you travel forward in our timeline...
I'm in this position where I have the technology to travel back in time to a point that would take me to 5 different potential realities. And so this is all of reality that comes to that point where I've chosen to travel back.
Present?
The present is here. This is my present.
Yeah.
But then I travel back in time, create a new present, and then end up being able to branch off there. It doesn't negate the existence of this.
What if someone travels behind you?
Well, then that changes everything again. This is where they become 10 realities, 10 potential realities. And so it's a deep topic.
Yeah, it's a
very deep topic. But, someone travels back further. What happens then? It would only change those timelines where it was affected. Because I think this idea of potential universes and 11th dimensional reality, all of these things already coexist.
Your first problem is time.
It doesn't.
That's right.
So just because I'm from here and go there, that's 4th dimensional. Let's think 5 dimensional. That's even more fun. So I end up here. I travel back here. Yeah. It doesn't stop these things from existing, like the Back to the Future principle.
It can do.
How do you go back?
This is potential universe theory.
How do you go back to what's already happened? It's impossible.
We can't. I don't think it's impossible. I just
time travel is possible. So you can.
The idea is
that 2 different beings can exist and can experience time at slower or faster rates. That's been proven because of the speed of light. So point being is that someone can always go further back and take away your free will. They can go back and they can change the past before you and take away your timeline
in one potential reality.
Not in all possible infinite potential realities. So there you got to ask yourself.
How far would they have to travel back in order?
What you're saying is someone could jump in
you have to be like God or Satan.
Fuck up our podcast because I don't like it 50 years from now. That's fucking impossible.
Yeah. But it's impossible on this timeline.
So look, you just got to ask yourself: does free will really exist? If anyone can take away your free will by just traveling a minute. So say you've got this thing where you're like, okay, I can decide whatever timeline I want to go back, but then someone can travel a minute before you and then just change that. They could kill you, or they could do whatever it takes to just prevent you
erase you from a particular timeline.
To erase your free will.
Well, I think that there's probably potential worlds and potential dimensions wherein that's happened. But in this one, I exist. And maybe there's been billions of me that have died at this particular point. Like it's the Rick and Morty principle, perhaps.
That should be like a scientific actual term. The Rick and Morty principle.
The bloody Rick and Morty.
Oh, principle. it's
a very nihilistic.
Very nihilistic cartoon. It's hilarious.
It's almost nihilistic in a comforting way.
Yeah, exactly.
In a comforting way.
It's like comforting.
See how good does it sound? You should go watch it. It is.
I definitely have to watch it. It's nihilistic and comforting.
It's kind of funny how the world has to be pretty fucked
Those
up
two
for
words
people to enjoy a real nihilistic.
Doesn't compute for you exactly.
Yeah.
They don't seem to go together.
That makes no sense to you at all. That's why you got to watch it. 100%. Oh, shall we talk about plugs? Plugs? You've got an Urban Sea thing with Vaudeville Smash coming up, don't you?
Oh, us Blues Arcadia.
Blues Arcadia and Vaudeville Smash. Is that my band or is that his band?
It's our band.
That's our band. That's so cool. What's that gig?
November 2nd.
November 2nd.
Umundi Hotel.
November 2nd at the Umundi Hotel.
It's called Offbeat Festival, I think.
Offbeat Festival, perhaps.
But check this because
Casper's going to Google that in.
Yeah.
The old Google.
Rachel's here in the garage.
Is she? Let's bring her in. You look that up and I'll go.
Oh. We might have some extended time. How's that battery going up there, man? What's the percent?
Offbeat Festival.
Okay.
Yeah, she's in the garage apparently.
Well,
but we probably won't because this is pretty good.
Well, if there's only 13% on the phone, we could probably do another 5 minutes around.
Yeah.
5-10 minutes.
Offbeat Festival, 2nd of November, and we're playing at Umundi Hotel, and the Vaudeville Smash is playing as well. So that's really cool.
New Monday, nice. It's a nice place up there.
It is a nice place, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's something we're really excited
I had $1 million, I'd probably buy a house there, I reckon. It's pretty nice up there. We're just a little bit distracted because we've got a visitor.
We have a visitor. He's wearing a velvet skirt. Water? You can have some water if you like. We have a seat all ready for you. You can just join. I can't even remember what we were talking about. Something very existential, probably.
And is your power still good too?
Yeah. Mine's something extremely existential has just happened. We've been joined by
Rachel Clark.
The lovely Rachel Clark has come to join us in Sound Out Studios, all the way from Melbourne.
Yeah, I just want some wine.
She travelled from the Gold Coast on the train.
Oh, from the train!
Hours.
God, you poor thing.
Just to have some wine.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's good cheap wine.
It was about an hour and a half with the changeover.
Yeah, okay.
It's so warm. It's so warm here.
Yeah, that'd be
nice.
Yeah,
it is warm. But it's cold as well, like for us.
Yeah, well, no.
That's right.
No.
It's kind of, we're feeling kind of cold.
No.
Have you got that bottle opener there? Jobbie.
Yeah, it must be freezing down there.
This is Robbie Jobbie.
Hello.
Hi.
He likes to... Yeah.
A bit sweaty with the...
because it's so hot, yeah.
Well, it's 8 degrees and raining when
wow.
Like when I was getting onto
the plane.
Yeah,
okay.
And it was like
so it wouldn't
20
be...
degrees or something.
Oh,
okay.
nice.
Wow, that's a huge change. So we've just probably only got about 5 minutes of battery left. So
I think we've been going for about an hour or so.
Yeah, hour and 20.
Yeah,
pretty good, actually.
But who knows? Like that's just when the camera was turned on.
Time doesn't pass in the studio here. You can't actually see the daylight, so
exactly.
It could be 1 o'clock in the morning.
Wonderful.
This happens to me all the time.
It's
what you want.
Time doesn't pass. See, we were talking fourth dimensionally.
That's right.
And
we're talking about free will.
And Casper's just gone fifth dimensionally.
Talk about free will anymore.
Yeah, you choose to exercise your free will.
Yeah, well, there you go.
We're actually just talking about our upcoming gig, 2nd of November.
Yeah. So we're playing.
What did you find out the name of that festival?
Yeah, it's called Offbeat Festival.
Offbeat Festival,
Audible
November
Smash.
2nd.
With
like my favourite Australian band besides my own, Blues Arcadia.
Yeah.
And Vaudeville Smash. So that's going to be exciting.
It's going to be
I'm
awesome.
really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I kind of thought when Casper told me just before, he's like, "Oh, I've got a gig coming up with Vaudeville Smash."
You didn't even think it was us.
I didn't think it was us.
I thought you did.
I thought you were talking about your other band, the
I said, dude, we're playing with Vaudeville Smash.
Yeah, I had no idea you were saying that.
And you're like, oh my God, Casper's playing
wow,
Smash.
I'm totes jelly, Casper. I wish my band, the band that I was in, was playing with Vaudeville Smash, and it turns out we are.
Nice.
That's exciting.
So where is
band?
Monday Hotel.
Monday Hotel.
Is it the two of us, or are there other bands? Do you know?
No, there's about 7 or 8 bands.
About 7 or 8
Yeah,
bands.
our band made an Instagram post this morning. I saw
it.
I'm just
time on social media.
Just wondering if Rachel's mic is good.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
What's the habit? Just push them away.
I'm comfortably close.
Robbie Jobbie. We've been mates for nearly 20 years.
Yeah, brother from another mother.
Basically, we've been mates for at least nearly 20 years, but we've known each other all of our lives.
Yeah.
My aunt
and probably lifetimes longer.
Yeah, my mum and his mother, lifelong best friends.
Oh
yeah,
wow,
that's right.
That's awesome.
And so,
what if some of that genetic memory going on there?
I reckon there is. I reckon there's some reincarnation memory going on.
They both have Scottish blood too,
actually. Highlands or lowlands? I'm not even sure.
Lowlands on my side.
I think it's lowlands for me as well.
How does that really change things? Was the Highlands versus lowlands thing?
You had like a true Australian. You don't understand history.
Yeah, you've got your England.
You got your Viking thing.
Sorry, spoken like a true Australian.
And actually, I'm half Danish too, so I'm actually
older than
well
as well.
You're a Highlander then.
Born in
That's why he
Cambridge.
doesn't understand us.
You've got the Viking thing happening in the north of Scotland.
Yeah, you do, yeah. The same breed of humans, aren't they?
Super cool.
They're not Celtic, no. Yeah. Oh, well, I'll probably get punched in the face by saying that, actually. Because, of course, they're interbreed, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like every Australian, really. But
mongrels. Yeah. They're a bunch of mongrels.
So you can't really say, they're just Vikings in the north. They're still Scottish.
I prefer mongrels.
It's bits of this and bits of that.
Bits of
bits
this.
with bits.
Exactly, 100%.
I'm not that polite.
I know that, but I'm just saying, for the people that are.
Fucking mongrel dog cunts.
You're proud of it.
Totally. 100%.
Good. I like it. That's why we're friends.
That's a sign of mental stability right there.
It's a sign of pharmaceutical drugs then. That's the only thing keeping me stable, Casper.
The non-prescription ones as well, man.
Speaking of pharmaceutical drugs, Blues Arcadia has a song out called The Ballad of Sertraline, which is all about pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah. Watch it a few times.
You should watch it.
I already have a few times. It's very good.
Watch it again, man.
Folks at home should watch it
a few times, yeah. Good song.
Everybody
should watch that.
It's a good album.
Thanks.
That's all right.
Blues Arcadia.
Spinning it heaps.
That's all right.
Train on the way up here.
I just realised we don't have a copy of it as part of our decoration this week.
It's a bit ridiculous.
That's
well, there's a poster right behind you.
Poster right behind.
See, on that stack of... You can actually maybe pull it out carefully. That's the Carnival of Fools tour poster. So, I mean, that's about what the Carnival of Fools album looks like, isn't it?
And that's the album name.
Carnival of Fools.
It's full of thrills and danger.
Yeah.
And
like your old circus kind of
bear picture.
Why don't you show your arm? See, he's actually a real fool. He's been stamped a fool. Branded a fool.
Mm-hmm.
I like the old school feel.
Yeah.
No?
It's a lovely poster.
Yeah.
Looks kind of old.
Thanks, man.
Oh, look at all the tour dates.
Poster
rustic, I think is the word I'm
designed
rustic.
By Rachel Clark's brother Ben, actually.
That's true.
He came up with this logo. And this
I didn't know that until ages later, but yeah.
Came up with this picture that I've inked myself with, actually.
Yeah.
There you go. He'll be proud of that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm
proud
of that.
Did you tell him?
I haven't told him. I haven't seen him. Oh, I should. Hopefully he doesn't charge me royalties or something.
Oh, jeez. You got to watch that.
For the rest of my life,
every time
I have
you
to
raise
pay
your
royalties
arm
for my own stuff.
Every time he flashes his guns,
that's right.
He's got to write a check.
Better put away 10 cents.
Bang.
Or like Spotify.
Go with the Spotify stats. So it's like 0.006 cents.
Half a cent every time. Yeah. Every time I kiss my guns.
Worth it.
He's going to have to take out a loan.
Well, true story, unfortunately.
Oh, that's good. Oh, it's fancy. It flashes and everything.
It's very fancy.
And Rachel, you're just here, so is there anything you wanted to talk about?
Well, you're a musician, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know, man.
Well, you have an instrument and you make noise, don't you?
Yeah.
She is up from
visiting family, visiting friends.
Well, some friends.
Some friends.
Some friends.
No. No, I thought I'd just come up, take a holiday before I'm launching my single on the 7th of September.
7th of September. Cool.
Yeah,
Where are you launching that?
Some Velvet Morning in Clifton Hill, Melbourne.
Some Velvet Morning
in
Clifton Hill, Melbourne.
Yeah.
7th of September.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting.
It is actually, because I'm dual launching with a guy named Seth Henderson.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard any of his stuff, but
he's
from Tassie. He's a singer-songwriter, and he's
so
great.
Singer-songwriter, folky kind of vibes.
And then the next day we've got a show in Bendigo, a show or two, I think, with a guy named Grim Faulkner, who's really cool as well. I was actually listening to his EP on the way up here as well as your album.
All right.
Just to get me in the mood for Brisbane
and
music and all of that kind of
Brisbane,
stuff.
The home of Blues Arcadia.
That's right.
Well, that's what I think of. You guys are one of my favourite Australian bands too.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, like most of the members are cool.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Oh, being cool, isn't it?
Maybe three of them.
Maybe three.
No, so that'll be
we'll
good.
Just go with that.
But no, that's the rule. Every time I come to the Gold Coast, I always go up and see Harvey.
Sure thing.
At least once. He's usually the only person I catch up with, so it's nice to actually see other people.
Yeah, cool. Oh, I'm glad you were talking to Casper and last night.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the story, Jobbie. Is it last night Casper and Rachel were just texting or calling or whatever, and
Rachel just messaged me saying she's in town.
Yeah.
And she wanted to go to an open mic night or something. So I said, we've got a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be?
Yeah, come to the studio, get up in the morning. It's like, well, get up in the afternoon.
More the merrier.
Really, unfortunately, Casper had to do the same thing this morning. Had to get up in the morning.
I did.
I heard last podcast.
I never
he
do
didn't.
this. I went to sleep.
That's what I asked Jeremy, actually.
Yeah, I go to sleep in the morning, and then I wake up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's my problem.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're already awake in the morning.
Yeah.
About 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Kind of your thing. So, to each their own.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to change this.
Why?
Because I need more sleep.
Yeah, there's a thing about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's
you
a
need
problem.
darker curtains so that you can just get up.
No, I just need to have more self-control and not stay up watching movies and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm always like, I'm going to go to bed early, and then it's like middle of the night. Yeah. It's like, this is still early, right?
Have you switched the blue light off your monitor?
Yep. And my phone as well.
No difference?
Yeah, the blue light's constantly off on my phone.
I have it constantly off as well. I don't know if that's really a contributing factor. I think it's more just social media is such a culprit, really. Just you get onto it, and then it's just designed to hold you. It's clickbait, you know. People study this stuff.
Yeah. I've been noticing that it's
really because it tailors to you.
That's right.
You know,
the algorithm gets
cookies,
more intelligent.
Man. It picks up what you search, what you like, and then it'll show you stuff based on that.
Listens to your microphone.
Yeah, we've got how many microphones are you listening at the moment? Picking up what? You know, they're all going to be very confused because we're all talking about all kinds of stuff. Who knows what ads
we are going to get some really interesting advertising, that's for sure.
Breaking AI.
Breaking AI.
That's only if we talk jive, though.
Jive.
You've got to talk jive to break AI.
100%, for real.
Yeah, man.
I don't want to pretend to talk jive.
Man, that's lions in the park right there.
Right, bro. 100%, man.
That's why I carry a knife in my pocket.
Shit, dog.
Shit.
Damn.
Dang, dog.
Gonna talk jive, break AI.
Yeah,
this is like a Darrow version of jive. Darrow jive.
It's funny because it's true.
Gold.
I hail from Inala. You hail from Acacia Ridge.
Just over the
just over the
stone throw.
Over the fucking cunting fucking road, mate.
I was born in Cambridge, which is like the fanciest upper class English town.
Cambridge
University, right?
Cambridge.
That's where all the
indeed.
pompous...
Indeed. Oxbridge, they call it.
Oxbridge.
The old Oxbridge.
Trinity College. Yeah.
Wow.
Good times.
Did you ever see the sun? Because that's the thing. That's the thing I hear from English people. Oh, it's raining all the time.
Oh, maybe once a year.
Once a year you see
sun? A couple times. Yeah. And even when the sun's in the sky, there's always clouds. You know, you only see part of the sun.
Yeah.
Usually.
Oh, God.
I hated that, honestly.
I mean,
I grew up in Australia, so I'm really... I come off as Australian, and I've experienced growing up in Australia with European parents who didn't really know about Australian traditions so much. So, but yeah, I speak like an Australian. But we lived there for a year when I was just started high school. So I sort of got to experience like the weather and everything and what it was like to be living in the UK for a year or so. And yeah, the sun, I miss the sun a lot. It's a massive difference, like almost...
The English sun.
English sun, yeah. Just how often you get it, really. I sort of associate a sunny day as...
Our sun is harsh.
No, but just it's just the warmth and the colour of the light. I find sunny days, to me, are much more alive and happening. Versus rainy days, it feels still and dead and a bit stagnant for me. So I enjoy sunny days a lot more than I do rainy days. And for that reason, living in the UK, it was cool, but like when I was younger, it used to bother me a lot more. I used to hate rainy days. I'd wake up in the morning, it was rainy, and I'd just be in a bad mood from the get-go.
Really?
Doesn't affect me nearly as much now. I've sort of dealt with that.
Well, for you, the thing is, for you, it's kind of a break in the weather. When there's a rainy day,
When there's a
it's
rainy
a break.
day.
I'm the total opposite.
Total opposite.
Yeah, totally.
Because you have sun
I
every
find the
goddamn
rain
day,
comforting.
don't you?
I
You have
find
sun all the time.
A big blue sky with not a cloud there and the sun beating down. I get anxious.
You get anxious?
Mm.
Yeah, wow.
For sure.
That's very interesting.
Why do you think that is? No? You've never thought about it? No? Maybe you should. Shall we talk
Maybe
about
it's
it
a
now?
genetic history thing.
Well, see, this is the thing that I'm kind of thinking about, is that perhaps it's because for us as Queenslanders, it's like this whole bright, sunny day, that's our normal, boring, constant existence. Whereas rain means it's cooler, breaks the monotony, rain's more fun.
Interesting, because I grew up in Queensland. I've lived here since I was 2 years
Well,
old.
this could be a genetic memory thing then.
Maybe.
Mm.
Yeah. But if it was a genetic memory, I mean, I should, in Denmark and the UK.
Mm. Well, for me, it's Poland, it's snow.
So I should be more, I should enjoy the rainy weather.
But you've acclimatized at the same time.
Yeah, and that's what's confused the system.
Exactly.
The system.
Maybe.
It's confused my system.
Well, when I went to Melbourne, like last time,
you just like the rain.
See, I think it's experience-based.
That simple.
I think it's purely experience-based.
Could be 2-dimensional or it could be 8th-dimensional. Never know. Unless we talk about it. Shit.
That's the thing about Melbourne. It's like, well, you can't really get anxious about the weather because it's just going to change anyway.
Oh, yeah. Right. And you're like, oh, it'll be different in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Give it 5 minutes. There's a cool change
sounds
coming.
so comforting. I should move to Melbourne. I like Melbourne.
I like Melbourne too.
Melbourne's a really
Pretty
cool
great.
place.
But then in saying that, every single time I come back here for a holiday, I'm like, man, if I brought my dogs with me this time, I probably wouldn't go home. Except for the music.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the entertainment scene there is incredible.
It's amazing.
Oh, it's huge. The attitude towards music and the arts is just different down there.
Absolutely.
Oh, Melbourne,
it's very European.
Really cool way.
Well, West End's used to be a little bit like that.
Yeah, that's becoming gentrified, man. It's a real sort of yuppie area.
Yeah.
West End used to be a bit like that.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, they burnt down Harvey's flat, didn't they?
The Valley has some little pockets too.
I feel like there's more of a story in that. They what?
I think he's
Didn't you hear about Didn't you hear about his old house burning down?
No.
Yeah, it did.
Really?
Really?
Oh, wow.
How long
you need
after
to catch up with Harvey.
Was
it was like a month or two after he left, or 3 months, or I don't know.
Not a long time.
It wasn't a long time, but it was where he was living in West End. A fire started, like
in the
dodgy
flat
wiring.
in front of his, I think.
Like, it was, so he was sort of bordered, like a border wall. So here's his flat, and here's his neighbour's flat.
Yep.
And if you go down underneath that, there's a washing machine up against this wall.
Mm-hmm.
And so what Harvey's thinking is that it actually started around that washing machine, which was basically underneath the neighbour's flat, but also kind of like right under him as well. And it burnt the entire building to the goddamn ground. And it just went up. There was a plume of smoke all across Brisbane. And so everybody in that flat, because you've probably been to that place, you know, West End. It was a total piece of shit, man. Like it was.
I
like,
loved it.
But like, what happened is that there's a spark that goes up and a fire starts. Everybody that lived there escaped with the clothes on their back.
I know what you mean, man. I've had plenty of sleepovers in some of those
just
old
3-dimensional bangs,
West Endy, Fortitude.
And so he probably would have lost Mr. Magic.
Things.
Or if he had time, that would have been the first thing he tried to grab.
Yeah.
But I'm not even sure that he would have made it because it's just, holy shit, get the fuck out of there.
That's crazy.
So he probably would have lost his guitar. Definitely would have lost all of his amps, you know, and the rest.
Yeah.
But like that's
and he hasn't got insurance, has he?
Of course not, man. Of course not. No, I don't have insurance. There's no way he's got insurance either. So he just would have been totally fucked. And this is So
this is
I
slowly becoming an insurance advertisement, isn't it?
So
sign up to Jez and Jobbie Insurance Agency
click that
today.
Click
we'll
that bell. It signs you up to the insurance agency.
Yeah, let's just click things.
We'll follow the link to the website.
Yep.
And
he's got all the clickbaiting in there too, where he's getting paid for every time you click through. So there's just a bunch of click-through links. That's actually how he's making his money.
Yeah, exactly.
Good,
That's
I
how
like
I'm
it.
still alive.
I like it.
That's how I'm still alive. And the reason Harvey's still alive is because he doesn't live in West End anymore, or that flat in West End.
And moved away from West End. That survived.
But I made a little joke saying that the reason why that burnt down is because of the gentrification of West End. Which could be true.
It is happening. That is interesting because I lived / had an art studio in a warehouse in Melbourne. And they decided that the day that I moved in, I got 30 days notice that it was being torn down. So they put 30 artists out of their home and work art space to build these giant apartments called the Heart of Brunswick or something along those lines, which I thought was kind of ironic. But anyway, so everyone moved out of, the warehouse, got all of their stuff out, and then I think it was like less than a month later, the place burnt down.
Oh.
I was like, that's interesting. Wow. Convenient.
How convenient.
Yeah, that's how it usually rolls,
and this place where he was living was a real, it's like slum material. Like the dude that owned it and ran it was just like an old school slum lord, right? So it's got to raise some questions.
Very interesting.
Oh, there's always that shit going on.
And now you've got me starting conspiracy theories with you.
Ooh, that's not a conspiracy.
The brain's just going to keep going.
Cool. That's not a conspiracy. Land and people shafting. That happens every day. It's not conspiracy.
Just feudalism.
I know. Oh, greed.
Greed. Shit.
It happens. Well, we're from Ipswich.
Yeah, we've both
had
lived
our last two Lord Mayors locked up in jail now.
Shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Fantastic.
That's not a good run.
Ipswich.
No. The entire council was the first to be completely sacked. So Queensland came up with laws about having the hierarchy that enabled them to sack an entire council government because of Ipswich. So
pretty crazy.
Ipswich was so Melbourne, completely corrupt.
No, I grew up on the Gold Coast.
Gold Coast.
Oh, okay.
Lives in Melbourne. Ipswich was so corrupt that they created new laws so that the government could deal with it, like a higher level of government could deal with it. And so Ipswich government was sacked because they are all corrupt. Every last one of them.
Oh, I don't know about
Every last one of them. Because that's the culture. That's the environment. I would stand by that statement that they were all in this environment of corruption. Maybe we should nuance that, but I would stand by that, even if I get sued. The thing is, they're all going to get sued anyway. Yeah. I'm talking about Ipswich, UK, by the way, not Ipswich, Queensland.
Yeah. Scotland. I think
Ipswich, Scotland.
Isn't it?
I thought it was in Denmark or something. I'm not really sure.
I think it's Scotland.
Yeah, Ipswich as the potential town. So, what was I saying before you distracted me? Yeah,
so I'm just googling Ipswich now to see what comes
Birmingham
up first.
Or something. Brighton.
The first thing is City of Ipswich in Queensland.
Yeah, on an Australian Google server.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Yeah.
If you look it up on DuckDuckGo, I'm pretty sure that something else comes up.
Just go UK. Yeah. What were you saying?
I've lost my train of thought. Corruption, sacked, all of them, fuck them.
Oh,
Pasali, it's like this whole power corrupts thing. Like Ipswich City Council was the greatest demonstration of power corrupting. So much so that every last one of them had their finger in the pie. And so they all got sacked. And so that's the thing, is they were sacked because they were found guilty of having, every last one of them was found guilty by association of having their finger in the pie, because that's just how it works.
It's that association thing, like literally just being in Ipswich.
Was dissolved.
Totally dissolved, as has just happened with the Logan Council.
In Ipswich
no, there's not.
Really?
Thank fuck they've brought back recycling. They tried to. The big thing that changed it all is that they tried to be the first council in the world that said that they were going to turn their back on a recycling policy. Let's just throw it all in the tip. It costs too much money to send it to China.
Oh. That's the problem.
Oh, that's Australia-wide too. That's
we lost. We lost. I think the council that I live in lost their contracts with China or something like that. I don't know if it's like a choice thing or whether or not they lost them.
So what's happening now then?
I'm not sure.
In terms of recycling,
are
they recycling? The thing with Ipswich is that they said, "Oh shit, everybody's really disappointed and everybody's really up in arms about the fact that we're not going to recycle. So let's just tell them that we're going to recycle, but keep throwing it all in the tip."
That's what happened with us. I think we weren't really told about that.
Dodgy.
That's Australia. China to get recycled, right?
Something like that, yeah.
That's what actually, but then they lost some kind of thing, and all this rubbish is going to China to be recycled. And
we're putting it in the recycle bin, and then who knows where it's actually going. Yeah,
it's going to China.
Dodgy.
Yep, it's a big issue at the moment, and it's not just here; it's Melbourne.
I think the camera
might have died.
Really? Okay. There must be a time that we can pause it then. Don't do that with your microphone. Shit, that's set up perfectly.
Not anymore, it's not.
Not anymore, it's not. Cool. Well, I'd say that we'll have to find a spot.
Done.
Awesome.
First one.
Cheers.
Do that.
Well, his gigs are your gigs, aren't they? Well, not all of them. You've got Urban Sea. Yeah, I know, I've heard.
Well, the camera's just on you
Oh,
guys.
wow. That's a lot of pressure.
Very, a lot of pressure.
Do whatever you want to do. Your camera. Director's point of view.
All right, well, I'll just go.
Camera. Your camera. 5 minutes. Don't look at us.
Well, where we're filming today again is Standout Studios. This is a recording studio I started this year because I love to help people produce their music, to help people realize what they want to get out of their original music. And so if you're interested in working on something, if you want to record something in a studio, check me out, standoutstudios.com.au, and maybe we can have a chat, and maybe we can produce some awesome music.
Nicely.
What have you got?
What have I got?
What do you do?
Oh, man, I'm in the process. I'm about to release a promo video. We've got the single launch on the 7th of September in Melbourne.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yep, and then somewhere towards the end of September, we'll be releasing the music video for the single. Yeah, it just feels like it's never ending. I've got festivals coming up at the end of September as well. So, yeah, if anyone wants to check out what I do, there's websites, there's everything, there's all the socials, but the best one's usually Facebook because it's just got links to everything. Yeah. So that's just Rachel Clark Music. That's it. Just like magic. Like magic. And you'll just get everything, all of your stalking potential all there in one little window.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Easy.
Sounds like my afternoon. No, just kidding. I've already stalked you.
Oh, good. Yeah. I was going to be really disappointed because we worked out we've known each other for a year, and if you hadn't already stalked me, then that would be the end of our friendship. Just right there.
The cool thing was I didn't stalk you before I met you. Cool thing.
Oh, that's
normally
lucky.
It's like you stalk someone, then you meet them.
Oh, really?
I don't know, these days.
See, I've never added anyone to Facebook that I haven't met. So I can't stalk them before I meet them. Well, otherwise you lose track. You're like, how do I know this person?
In the music scene, I've noticed a lot of people just randomly add you. They hear about
I know, and then they get offended that you haven't accepted their friend request, and you meet them in person. You're like, well, I can accept it now.
Okay, so
wow, well, lucky. So you didn't well, I figured that out. Jeez.
Could potentially be work there.
That's true. Okay, that is very true. But I guess, as a singer-songwriter, I don't have many people looking necessarily for that. And then you can send a private message without being friends. It's
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I guess we come from different, very opposite sides of this coin. It's like you're an artist. I'm someone who works with artists.
Yeah, and we're
support role versus.
And we're not checking our request messages because we're hardly using our phones. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about other people. I hardly use my phone. I get in trouble. You get that screen time thing that tells you how long you spend on your phone. And apparently, I spend 2 minutes a day replying to messages. I was like, that's why everyone's pissed. That's it's not enough.
You're spending hours.
I know. It turns out, yeah. Cool. Well, since they're gone, may as well.
Our podcast now.
Yeah, we've taken over.
Yep, well, let's just end it
then. Sounds good. I'm gonna go back to drinking.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Scatology, episode 2.
Is it done?